Welcome to the Energy Roundup. This is a channel where we discuss the latest matters regarding energy in the UK and around the world. On this channel, we cover anything to do with matters surrounding energy. As this is a new channel, I would really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. Now carrying on with the video, in recent months there has been talk of a UK blackout plan. These plans have come under guidance of the National Grid, who suspect that nuclear plants will not be able to deal with the demand across Britain. The blackout was tested twice across November but has not yet been run live. The way that these blackouts will work is that they will ask households to reduce the amount of electricity they use at peak times and promises to pay them for any reductions they make. Forecasts predict that the amount of energy that Britain import from France will drop, meaning that the UK will not have a lot of electricity available for use for homes and business across peak time. According to Energiopsis, margins will be tight on Monday evening, meaning Britain and France may well need to import power from abroad. In recent months, France, who supply energy to Britain, have been facing problems with their nuclear power plants. Their power plants generate around 3/4 of the country's electricity. However, more than half of these have been shut down by energy company EDF, due to maintenance problems and technical issues. This adds to issues that Europe are already facing, going into a winter without its whole gas supplier Russia. These blackouts are said to last for 3 hours a day, although the National Grid electricity system operator has said that the blackouts are unlikely and are the worst-case scenario. On Tuesday, the 22nd of November, an automated ESO alert was sent out which sparked panic before it was quickly cancelled. Power may go out due to tight capacity, read the warning. Since last winter and Russia's conflict with Ukraine, supply of gas and electricity has become uncertain. Usually, in the winter months, the demand for energy rises. This combined with the conflict and issues with nuclear plants is the cause for concern. Last winter, 70% of Britain's gas came from the UK's continental shelf and Norway. However, England shut down this storage facility, meaning they do not have the capacity to store as much gas as other countries. If these blackouts became necessary, everyone affected will be given 24 hours notice. How many people this impacts will depend on how much network operator companies are asked to cut demand. The nature of the blackout means that different areas will be cut off at different times. What this means for people is that they will have to avoid using high power consuming appliances, such as the washing machine or tumble dryer. Due to the fact that demand for power peaks in the evening, this is when the cut-off would be. The CEO of the National Grid stated that blackouts would most likely happen between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. in the evenings on those weekdays when it's really, really cold in January and February. Normally you might get compensation if your supply goes off. It is not clear how this might apply to planned mass cuts of this kind. As these will be planned and households told beforehand, it's unlikely there will be compensation. The CEO also said that, even though wind is coming back for tomorrow's evening peak, slow return of nukes in France plus lower temperatures may mean that there is a reduction in available imports across the interconnectors. There haven't been organised blackouts since the early 1970s, when then Prime Minister Ted Heath introduced a 3-day working week to conserve energy. In this instance, the UK didn't have enough energy following industrial action by coal miners and railway workers, which limited electricity generation. Network providers will be provided with the task of making sure vulnerable customers are protected. This includes old customers, hospitals and care homes. If this does go ahead, it raises the prospect of Brits having to turn off their televisions during the England's crucial World Cup game, which kicks off at 7 p.m. Households which have signed up to the program in advance will get a message asking them to turn off appliances at a certain time in exchange for £3 per kilowatt-hour saved. If the £3 is fully passed on by the suppliers to customers, that implies payments of up to £20 for each day when requested by National Grid. Power supply and demand has to be constantly balanced to avoid triggering blackouts. National Grid has developed the scheme over the past few months amid concern over winter energy supplies due to gas shortages triggered by Russia's war on Ukraine. Suppliers including Octopus Energy have been running tests in recent days. However, the scheme has yet to be used outside of testing. In a notice published to the market at 10 a.m. today, National Grid said, an anticipated DFS requirement has been published for tomorrow, Tuesday the 29th of November 2022. Octopus Energy is by far the most active energy supplier in the DFS. It has previously released data showing that its customers had helped reduce demand by more than 100 megawatts during both tests. Other options available to the national grid for power rationing is to ask non-critical factories to shut down. However, its latest report on the UK's readiness showed, under a base case scenario, that margins between peak demand and power supply were expected to be sufficient, and similar to winters of recent years thanks to secure North Sea gas supplies, imports via Norway and by ship. The national grid is also considering firing up coal power plants to plug the gap. The system has been tested twice since it was launched a month ago. During both tests, businesses and households banded together to reduce demand by a small but significant amount. So far, Octopus Energy is by far the most active energy supplier in the demand flexibility service. It released data showing that its customers had helped reduce demand by more than 100 megawatts during both tests. That is the same amount of electricity that a small power plant produces. Octopus said that some of its customers had earned more than £4 during the hour-long sessions. The average saving was well over £1. The scheme is administered by energy suppliers. Households have to register their interest in taking part in advance. They will then get a text or other message saying that the program will run later in the day. If they use less electricity than they normally do during the allotted hours, they will be paid for the savings. The customers will not be punished if they decide to keep using electricity as normal. So far, not many suppliers are taking part, but National Grid hopes that participation will increase in the weeks ahead. If we ran into more problems regarding energy supply, then it is said that the government has a 3-stage plan in place. Step 1 being to simply ask the public to reduce their usage of electricity. Step 2 being that restrictions will be placed on industrial energy consumption, and this will require firms to reduce energy usage by a certain percentage. Stage 3 is the rolling blackouts throughout the country. Due to the fact that energy in the UK is provided by a number of suppliers, they divide it up into 18 different load blocks, which is very similar to postcodes. Each load block is assigned a letter from A to U, though F, I and O are not used, and each one is assigned different periods of time that will be affected by blackouts under this energy conservation plan. Each day will be split up into 8 3-hour periods, starting from 12:30 am to 3:30 am and ending at 9:30 pm to 12:30 am, and will be assigned a number from 1 to 8. The areas are spread across the country, so energy consumers with the same load block letter will all be affected at the same time. However, it is important to remember that this will only be put into place in the worst-case scenario. Thank you so much for watching, and please like, comment and subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. See you next video.